This is the Shopware Hub Cast, where your host Sander Mangel and Dennis Höting, resident community hub expert and director of product development at Shopware, uncover the stories of the people that make our community. This episode, they talk to Bojan Rajh, DX developer at Shopware.
Bojan, thank you so much for joining us today. Really excited to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Shopware?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me here. So this is basically my third year at Shopware. I started in the developer experience team, where our main task was gathering all the documentations under one umbrella. So we transformed from a Git book solution to a custom-built WordPress template. Then we continued with another project with the AI chatbot tool or question and answers tool that was embedded into the dev docs. So we gathered all the info that we had and created another interface for that. And last February, we started with building the new community home. So basically community hub project. Initially, I was the only developer there, but our team kind of expanded quite quickly. So first member was Johan. He joined in April last week and led the whole academy part. Second was Martina, who joined from the operations team. And she mostly took care of the events, the content for integration, and all the resources that we had on the community hub. And last but not least, Sebastian joined also from the operations team, and he's basically taking care of all the new features that we are having there. All along the way, we communicated with different teams, different members, different departments. One, or the most important department, was the UX team with Lucas, Julian, and Dennis, which basically took care of the UX stuff on the community hub. Then we have a dedicated team for the content led by Lea, and joined also Micha and Sue joined them from the DX team for those needs. Everything was basically orchestrated by Dennis Höting and by Luis. Hi, Dennis. And I think also Marco and Niklas joined forces and gave some feedback and contents for the academy.
Yeah, I'm always amazed how many people got involved at the Shopware side in this project. I'm pretty sure this kind of escalated along the way into pulling in half of our development department. Yeah. But yeah, that just shows the dedication, I guess.
Just a sentence to that, like from the early beginning, I remember a discussion with Mark, our CPTO, who basically said, okay, this is something really meaningful. This is something really important. So let's start with that right now, and let's get into that with a first start with a small team, and as we go, it will be obvious how important this is, and we will add more forces to it and make sure that we can really progress, right? And that's basically just what happened, and I'm extremely happy about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he is one of the biggest advocates for this project in the company itself, right? He's very dedicated to building that community. Maybe as we are speaking about the tech behind the Community Hub today, Bojan, I would be remiss if I ask, why didn't we build out the dev docs? And why did we choose to actually, set up something new? And maybe, Dennis, you have something to say about this as well.
Basically, DevDocs is a static solution. It works well for the static content, and we needed something different for the new community home, basically. New community hub, which consists out of lots of dynamic content and lots of events kind of kicking in. So there is basically no solution out there in the wild that would fit our needs entirely. Therefore, we simply decided to build our own system, but we chose kind of validated technologies and something that we already know and are familiar with.
I remember also that in the early beginnings, we at least investigated a little bit whether we could integrate a existing LMS or something into the system. It was quite early. It was very clear that we have to have a really neat integration, and we wanted to add gamification aspects to that are quite custom, and it should all feel like one. And we have very clear expectations here that are very explicit. So we decided, okay, integrating a standard LMS into it isn't worth it. We will build something ourselves. And in the end, I think it really paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I really appreciate what you said, Bojan, that DevDocs is a very static system, right? It's just there for Shopware to talk to the rest of the world about how to use Shopware. Well, I think what we're building here is intended to be highly dynamic, right? We're looking for that interaction. We're looking for people to work together with basically the community, to post stuff, to earn badge, right? So that part, the dynamic part is super important for the success of the Community Hub, I think. Now, so on the selection of technologies, Dennis, be honest, did we at any point evaluate if we can build this into Shopware as a plugin?
So we did build it API first. So basically every data is available. If somebody wants to build the plugin, feel free. We can use some info on that. But the main difference between DevDocs and Community Hub is that the DevDocs are basically meant for developers and Community Hub is meant for a wider group of people, including designers, merchants, administrators, basically anyone that wants to see what's happening in Shopware ecosystem at the moment, what happened last week, what happened on GitHub.
Yeah, really cool. I think just pulling in all of those sources, and we've spoken in different episodes about this, is what makes this great, right? Just the fact that we pull data from everywhere. Maybe more of that in a bit. Let's maybe talk first about tech stack. What did we put in there to make it great?
So we started with Vue. Vue is already used inside Shopware products. Other teams use it, other products. It was a safe choice for us because we also needed some kind of a background API or background services. We chose Next, which is built on top of H3 packages. It basically provides us with all the necessary tools in the background, the framework. As a data layer, we chose Postgres. We were also thinking about choosing MongoDB because of all the dynamic events that we'll gather basically. But in the end, Postgres or standard relational database kind of won in our case. More of the technology, basically nothing groundbreaking. We chose, for example, Redis for caching. We're caching some of the stuff. And Redis, it is a known and validated solution in this world. We also implemented Pusher for WebSockets, so we can basically display or show all the actions that are happening more interactively. Immediately display all the reactions, all the comments. We also used 11 Labs AI for transcripting the audio for the Academy part, so our users can enjoy, for example, learning the content on the train or in the car safely. And one core functionality is also ShopDev 2, or Shopware learning environments, which is basically a system for deploying new instances so our members can get their own developer environment without any hassle of changing things locally. Yeah, lots of things, lots of technology basically, but in the end, we needed them.
Yeah, cool. I think we have an episode planned with Philip Weitkamp about ShopDev 2 and why it's 2 and why nobody knows about 1. I think that is also an important one to tell the outside world. So maybe on the tech, I think one of the challenges that you already alluded to is the fact that it's highly dynamic, right? How you mentioned Redis as a cache, but what kind of technologies did you need to implement to kind of manage all that data and making sure that it still stays performant? Because it is a rather performant system.
In the beginning, we made a decision that we will normalize all the data into a single structure. So we are also storing all the events in a single table, which makes it easier for us to display those events later for the feed or for the stream. Basically, the data structure, the Postgres, it was proven as a good solution. It works well. We don't have any technical issues there. We need to say that some of the issues would exist like a few years ago, but currently we're using services from the cloud, or SaaS services are good with scaling the performance and providing all the performance that we need. But in the end, there were also lots of small technical decisions that brought the system into the current state.
And did you reconsider any technologies along the way? Something that you set out to use and then kind of came back from that because it just wasn't cut out for the job, or it didn't play well with the other choices?
So we had some troubles on the front-end side. Next works well with Next UI, which, for example, uses Tailwind in the background, but we would prefer to use CSS at that point, which is basically the same structure, the same language, but different implementation. We also had some troubles with working or connecting all together with the Meteor components, because then again, Meteor components are using a different set of technology, raw CSS without any compiler in the background, and different set of variables. So yeah, we needed to sync that up. We were also discussing, for example, on our data layer, what kind of a library would we like to use for accessing and manipulating the data. So we basically talked about type OREM or Drizzle. In the end, we chose Kaizi, which basically provides a type-safe environment for writing type-safe queries. Other things, I think they went pretty clear. So once decided, we went to them.
I think what really stands out here in those technical decisions is that I think we used the fact that it's a relatively small team, or was a very small team in the beginning, and we're just like, okay, this is a challenge. Let's really understand the challenge, and then let's make some investment of what could be possibilities. But in a really early state, let's just try it out and just do it. And if it feels good, that's cool. If it doesn't feel good, then let's throw it away and do it differently. So I think along the way, we really often talked about, okay, let's get that, technical breakthrough really, really early, and let's see whether it feels good. And I think there was a good strategy really moving forward fast.
Yeah, you have to stay agile, right? If you're developing something like this, especially for Greenfield. I want to switch gears a little bit and go to the data that we're processing, right? We're pulling in data from GitHub, Stack Overflow, Discord is coming up, Slack, what have you. How much data are we talking about, actually?
So currently we processed almost 200,000 events. So this was in the last couple of months. In other numbers or other words, this basically means maybe between 1,000 and 10,000 per day. This includes all the comments, some of the activities from the GitHub, as you mentioned, Slack. We're basically collecting all the messages from users that connected their account in the profile because of the legal things. But not much. It's not big data yet, and it will probably never be like big data, but it's not 10 rows either.
No, so there are considerable, well, not challenges maybe, but there are considerations to be made. What are your projections for that data growth? Like, is this something that you're thinking it's going to grow tenfold or more, especially with some of the plans of connecting more and more systems?
So yeah, from technical perspective, we will add some new services, external services. You mentioned Discord, which is basically Shopware forum. We are also experimenting with Discord. So we might switch from Slack to Discord in the future. This decision will be probably made by the community team, but I think we can safely say that. The majority of events that are currently out there or that are happening are already collected, which means GitHub and Slack. As I mentioned, we are adding other services, but in terms of numbers, I hope we can reach 1 million events this year, next year max. And maybe from the user base perspective, we did set some KPIs. So we have some targets that we want to achieve by the end of the year. What I can say is that we are basically rising that minimum stable bar with visitors every week. It remains stable. And we are really looking forward to see what will happen in the next couple of months.
Really cool. And did you do any stress testing or anything like that, just out of curiosity?
Not yet. We hope the cloud can take it. We do have some standard tests that are doing some of the stress testing, just not intentionally.
Amazing. So I can imagine, given that we're based in Europe, privacy is a big topic for this platform. How are you handling some of that with the data you're ingesting?
So all the services are GDPR compliant. That's, I think, the most important part here. For the authentication, we chose, it's basically handled securely by known providers. So basically Slack, GitHub, and Shopware account, where we also verify the user. We are offering public and private profiles. So this is something that users can set up in their settings, profile settings based on their preferences. From the developer point of perspective, access is basically limited. So only a limited number of people can basically access the database and production environment entirely. But either way, we are only processing information that is publicly available, except for Slack, where anyone can technically join. We are only displaying the publicly available information.
I think it's also important to point out that we are not like magically connecting, for example, your Slack profile to your Community Hub profile whatsoever. So it's all like really explicit, making sure that our members have full control of what they wanna share and connect. So in your Community Hub profile settings, you can like explicitly connect your Community Hub to your Slack account, to your GitHub account, to your Stack Overflow account. And only then this data will also be linked to your profile. And as you mentioned, Bojan, on Slack, of course, we explicitly only synchronize data if the user explicitly accepted, yes, I want this message to spread into Community Hub as well. I think that's really, really important to give that clarity for the member.
Yeah, I love how well this is thought through. I think that's important, right? To give that confidence to users that we're not just randomly pulling in data, scraping it from everywhere and making it public.
Like, to be honest, that impressed me over time. And that's like a big lesson is, we have that system of events continuously rushing in. And also our gamification system is based on those events. And I think what we made a first shot of how will our gamification be balanced based on our, anticipation of what happens and what happens so often and so on. But now since we gained so many members. So like 1 month ago, we had around 600 members. Now we have 1,800 members. So we tripled in a month. Now we're really seeing how it's being used and how experience points are being gained. We are like, openly thinking with the community about let's rebalance this a little bit. Let's make the game fair. And that's something that is really powerful in the architecture of the system that I think we all can be really proud of, that we have this event system and we can basically, replay the game, so to say, with slightly different rules if we have to, if we discovered a bug, or we can decide to only move forward. So we have the full freedom here. And I think that's a really powerful system here to have this game running.
Yeah, and I think it allows not just technology innovation, but also innovation in the logic, right? Just like you said on the gamification and what have you. Very cool. Maybe looking ahead a little bit to what's to come for the Community Hub. What kind of a new features are we working on, and what are you maybe, Bojan, most excited about?
Thing happening in the Shopware ecosystem or Shopware community is the Shopware Community Day. We wanted to create a few new modules so members will be able, for example, to find other persons that are attending the same event. So basically find other persons that are nearby. We wanted to create a community map for that. Then next big feature is community guilds or groups where you can basically create a private or public group for, I don't know, you and one additional member or 5 members or 1,000 members to be, a part of that group, share some info and do stuff in that group. We also continued with the discourse integration, which is already live, so we can check what's happening on Shopware forum and the Discord, which will replace the Slack, probably, as mentioned. We are also planning on enhancing the gamification features, which means, balancing out the system, maybe new rewards, maybe give people actual rewards for their contributions, something like that. But make it nice, make it safe, make it look better. There's always room for improvement, even in the so-called perfect systems. Lots of plans, but not so much time.
Yeah, that's always the problem. I think I want to add here. I could also imagine, like in the future, there's no really concrete plans here, but I think utilizing some more AI technologies to some sort could be really interesting, given that we have if with this centralized platform, we can have some more AI aided functionalities for the members that really bring value to the hub. I think that would be really interesting. But I think what is important is that we have some ideas that we want to push forward, and they are openly shared on our roadmap inside of the hub, and you can leave a comment there and we can discuss in our Slack channel. So what I want to say is this is really, the hub is something for the community, but it's meant to be built with the community. So we are really, really looking forward for feedback and ideas from the community regarding the hub. And a majority of the ideas were like heavily influenced by the community already. So for example, you can now add your public GitHub repositories to your profile and show it on your profile. We are thinking about a broader module of something like Shopware projects, where we can shed some lights on those community projects out there, which is really, really meaningful. We are talking about maybe even including those repositories into the gamification system, and all of that thought process of integrating public Shopware-related repositories was really driven by the community in discussions. I think that's really a wonderful thing, just getting into open discussions with members of the community. Hey, this would be meaningful for me, maybe also for others. Let's think about that. And then we move that forward and get into feedback loops with the community. And I think that's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important for people to be able to influence that roadmap, right? To make sure that they want to keep using it. So basically, for feedback, I go to Slack, right? I can voice any ideas there.
Yeah.
How are you prioritizing the features? Is there a central place for that? How's the backlog managed?
Well, I would say we have a very open discussion with the team, like talking about, okay, what's most important, but we also include like stakeholders from developer relations, for example, in just finding out what is most important. And to some sort, sometimes if we are not unsure whether this is relevant or not, we are really getting into discussions with certain members or just ask open questions in our feedback group. So it's all about interaction. In the end, when we are about to make a decision and we are unsure and we would like to get the opinion of the community, we try to get the opinion of the community to that. I think that's really important here.
We also had a review bazaar to have better platform.
That was also helpful, yeah.
Bojan, what aspect of the Community Hub are you most proud of from a technical perspective? What is the thing that you look back on maybe where you were like, okay, that's cool that we managed to deliver that?
The most important or interesting part was the feeds with the data coming from all the different sources. We needed to organize that, build some features around that. So it looks nice at the end. So it's usable. But one big feature that I also already mentioned was the Shopware learning environments, where we integrated Shop Dev to Solution. A big shout out to Philip on what he did basically there with all the project. This Shopware learning environments integration included the development of the PHP plugin for Shopware. It included building the pipeline, which communicates with the Shop Dev. So we have basically always up-to-date image and our learners get up-to-date environment in their new academy or community hub. Then there was a component which was beautifully designed by the UX team, and that component needed to communicate with our backend. We have some tasks running in the background for all the management stuff that needed to happen with our instances. It was nice to work with PHP, good old PHP.
Yeah, I think Shop Dev 2 will be either the next episode or the one after. Very curious to hear what we did there. Amazing. Oh, Bojan, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experiences here. I think it's really a testament to the innovation of Shopware, what we built here. And I'm saying that as part of Shopware, but I think that should be allowed once. Thank you for sharing, and looking forward to testing new features on the Shopware Community Day next week.
Thanks for the invitation.